Let me wait here 10 seconds. All right. So that's how we set up. If you see like a side A, that means the opposite side. So if you see A on the point, opposite side is side A, and the angle where that A is sitting is angle A. On the point here is B, so that's angle B and side B across, angle C. Now, generally, I'm going to teach this. I'll show you what it looks like. But when I use sine law, I don't pay attention to it. Okay, it makes sense in the start. So sine law comes in two ways. It could look like this. Sine A over A equals sine B over B, and this is sine C over C. So that means sine angle A over length A, like side length A. Sine angle B, try and take these out so they don't confuse you. Oh, not all the way out. I'm gonna take, let's see if I can just touch this point here. Good, good, and oh, sugar. No. All right, that one may just have to stay in for right now. Here, we'll do this. It stayed in. Okay, so that's what that means. And the other way you can write it is you flip everything. Okay, this would be A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. Okay? So that's the sine law, but they're both the exact same. The way I teach it, now there'll be some teachers who teach it different than I do. I know Zani teaches it different than I do, but we kind of both agree. But the way I teach it is whatever you're trying to find, you put on top. Okay? So let's start off here with introducing buddies. Okay? I say sine law is all about buddies. Okay? So I know when I want to use sine law is when I have a buddy. And what a buddy means is, let's say I have this, I have 40, I have 10 over here, I have 30, I have like X over here, okay? What a buddy means is where I have an angle and a side that pair up. So we could name this one A for lack of a better term. And we name this one B. So if you look here, we have two sets of buddies with one thing missing. So if you have two sets of buddies, okay, and one item missing is when you use sine law, okay? So I refer to buddies as an angle and a side and an angle and a side. So you can see here I have an angle and a side and an angle and a side, all right? So with that being said, here is all of sine law. This whole big thing is sine law, okay? But you only need 2 of 3, okay? We only need 2 of these 3 buddies, okay? So we don't need, like if we don't, in this case we have A and B, we don't need C, so we can just ignore it essentially, okay? But you need 2 of 3 always here. How are we doing so far with what I'm explaining, everyone? Are we following along? Are we kind of lost right now? You're good so far? It'll all come back together. I have a weird way of explaining it, but it'll all come together hopefully very simply. Okay. Now I'm going to do this question here as a practice question. Okay. So if you look here, for this question here, are we trying to find Mia, what do I do? Okay, so when you have non-90-degree triangles, I'm going to go back to my notes to self here. Okay. Here's like my flow chart to figure out what to do. The first question you look at is, does it have a 90-degree triangle? Yes or no? So if you have a 90-degree angle, you automatically go over here, which is SOHCAHTOA. If you do not, that's when you're either going to do sine law or cosine law. So we're kind of all done with the left-hand side here. We're kind of learning the right-hand side. So this is where I said, does it have two sets of buddies? 3 known with 1 unknown in the buddies. Yes, then we're going to do sine law. No, then we're going to do cosine law, which we'll learn about later today. Okay? Thanks for asking that question. I guarantee if you have that question, other people do as well. Okay. Now, I'm going to write this down here first. This one's for sides. Oh, so, shoot. Sorry, that one's for angles. Angle, and this one here I use for finding sides. Okay. So in this question down here, are we trying to find a side or an angle? What does our x represent? A side or an angle? Who can tell me? Perfect. Now this is where this will sound really weird. I'm going to ignore these formulas and I'm just going to use logic. Because you see how they're buddied up, for lack of a better term? Like this angle has its buddy as a side. This angle has a buddy side. This angle has a buddy side. Just like this side, whatever goes under it is its buddy, right? This angle, its buddy that goes with it is the side that goes underneath it. The side has the buddy go underneath it, okay? So first things first, I'm going to work with the x here first. My x is my unknown, okay? What's its buddy? Can someone tell me its buddy? What's x's buddy? 30. Perfect. And its angle, so I'm going to write sine 30 equals, now I put length on top, so I'm going to put the other length on top. So 10, and what's its buddy? What's 10's buddy? 40. Perfect. Now I'm going to put 40 on the bottom, sine 40. Now, so we have it all set up. We happen to use this, like I don't make you write like b over sine b, a over sine a, because essentially we have like, it's the exact same thing. We have a side, its buddies underneath it. We have the other side, its buddy underneath it. Now we have 3 of the 4, right? So we only have 1 unknown. Now what I do here is I move this over first. So if I move that over, it's a divide right now. So when it comes over, it's going to become a multiply. So our equation is going to look like this. 10 over sine 40 times sine 30. Okay? So if we're doing this on our calculator, I go 10 divided by sine 40, press equals, and times it by sine 30 and press equals, which gives me 7.8. Okay. Now, if I was using this calculator, I would go 10 divided by 40, sine equals, then multiply it by 30 sine, press equals, which gives me 7.8. And the last thing I could do, if I was using my trig table, I could go 10 divided by, what's sine 40? Sine 40 is 0.6428. So I get in my calculator, go 10 divided by 0.6428, press equals, then multiply it by whatever sine 30 is. Sine 30 is times 0.5 times 0.5, and I get the exact same number. First things first, was everyone able to, on their calculator, get that number? Yes or no? Okay. Good. Essentially, you're done half of sine law right now. You either find a side or an angle. That's it. We've already found how to find a side. Okay. So let's do this again. Okay. For this one, let's put an x. We're going to find an angle this time. So I'm going to put an x right here for unknown. I want everyone to draw that triangle first. I'll give you a little bit of time to draw the triangle. All right, so let's draw our buddies here. So this here is a buddy because they're across from each other, right? The angle and the side correspond. And then this one here is my second set of buddies. Does anyone need help seeing those two sets of buddies, how I'm pairing them up? Put a B in the chat for buddies as I get the buddies. Or what's a word for unbuddies or no friends? Put an N that you have no buddies. So B, if you can kind of recognize, oh, like the angle and the side go together, angle and side go together, and put an N if you're struggling seeing how I kind of pair those up. Okay, good. Okay, so now, this time, are we trying to find a side or an angle? So type in if you think I'm trying to find this. I'm trying to find the angle. Good. So what's going to go on top then? My angle or my side? My unknown always goes on top. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to put my unknown on top. So in this case, it's sine x goes on top. What's sine x's buddy? What goes on the bottom here? Perfect, 5. Right, because that's the buddy it's looped in with. Equals. Now what's going to go on top over here? The angle or the side? What's going to go on top? The angle or the side? Good. The angle is going to go on top because I put the angle on top over here so they match. In this case, it's going to be sine 40. Then the side, its buddy, is 7. So as much as I love like this equation, as long as we know we put our unknown on top, we put the buddy underneath, it works out to the exact same with, I would say, a little less confusion. Now I'm going to rearrange here real quick. It's not going to be the total rearrangement, but it's the same thing we did before. We bring that bottom thing over and it becomes a multiply. In this case, it's going to be sine x equals bracket sine 40 divided by 7 multiplied by 5. Okay. I'm going to let you guys work that through in your calculator real quick. I want you guys to try to get the answer. So I'm going to work it through here. Sine 40 divided by 7, press equal sign, and multiply it by 5. 0.46. Okay. If I'm using this calculator, I would go 40, press the sign button, divide by 7, times 5, 0.46. And lastly, I can always use my trig table, which is sine 40 is 0.428. So I go 0.42, what was that number? 0.6428. Divided by 7 times 5 is the exact same number. So we have sine x equals 0.46. What do we need to do next? Does anyone remember? It's the exact same as the trig question. You guys were here before. Good, sine to the negative 1. So what we're doing here is we're moving the sign over. So x equals sine negative 1, 0.46. And that's going to equal 27 degrees. Hopefully everyone got that answer. And this one here, I could just go like that. How do we feel about that question we just did out of 5? Write in chat how you feel about that question so far. Good. All right, 4 is good. Yosan, do you want to tell me when you're done writing this down? There's not much new, really. Like, you just have to learn how to set it up. You move one thing over, and that's pretty much, I don't know if exactly the same, but somewhat the same. Is that the only question that was on the list? How did I get... Okay, 2 questions here. Tessa, what kind of calculator are you using? First. Is it kind of like this one? Okay, so how I do this, the first thing I did was, so I did sine 40 divided by 7 times 5. Good. Now from here, Tessa, just go second function, sine, and that should pop this up, and just press equal right away. I guess you could have done, what did you get? If I just did 0.46 here, it would have got 27 as well. You forgot to do the sine to the negative 1. You did the first part, but not the second part. Does that make sense, Tessa? Now for Mia, why sine negative 1? Well, because if we have sine x equals 0.46, right? We move this over, we divide both things by sine. So x equals 0.46 divided by sine. And if you remember back to exponents a long time ago, that's to the exponent 1. But if we ever want to switch, if it's on the bottom, take it to the top, we have to make it negative. So sine to the negative 1 equals 0.46. And the reason we do this right here is because there's just not enough room in your calculator for the manufacturers to write, like on the button, 1 over sine. So they write it like that. So that's why we use sine to the negative 1. Does that make sense, Mia? Okay. So let's make up a new question. Let's say we have something like this. Whoa. Let's say that is like 110. This is like 58. This is 36. Actually, no, I don't want that to be 36. I want that to be 30. And I want to find that. Okay? So write that beautiful triangle on your board, on your whatever you're using, and try to circle your buddies to start. Okay? Okay. So my buddies for this one, if I were to do this, here's a buddy here where the angle lines up with the side. And here's my other buddy here. Now, are we trying to find a side or an angle with this one? A side or an angle? Side. So what's going to go on top? Side. Perfect. So we're going to put the side on top. Then I'm going to leave this with you for 30 seconds or so to see if you can set this up. Okay? So put the unknown on top, then put its buddy underneath. And then the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, so write G in chat if you were able to set it up properly for me. And put an M in chat if you missed how to set it up. Okay, good. So all you have to do set up is put the unknown on top and put its buddy underneath, whether it's the angle or the side. Now, as we did before, we just move this one over here to get x all by itself. Okay. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, and then you figure it out in your calculator, and I'll give you a minute to find your answer. I know the people who had Zani. Zani always likes to do cross multiplication here, but I'm not into that. So 58 divided by sine 110 times sine 30. 31, let's say. 30.9. Did you get the right answer, Farley? Get the same answer as I did? Perfect. Put a Y in chat if you're able to get the same answer that I did. Oops. I messed up my answer here. Good. Oh, Yosan, we got to figure out what's wrong with your calculator. So the only thing wrong, I think, Yosan, is something's going on with your calculator, which we'll work on once we finish this lesson. So as long as you have everything set up, you'll be good to go. $30.9. Good. Mia, you got 26. What kind of calculator are you using, Mia? Does it look like this one? Somewhat? No. Okay. On the top, does it say DEG in your calculator? Yes. Okay. So here's a question for you, Mia. If you write 30 and press sine, does it automatically come up at 0.5, or does it kind of look, does it do nothing? If you press 30 and then sine, what happens? Error. Okay. What if you press sine, then 30, then equals? Do you get 0.5? Okay, so let's go walk through here. So first thing I want you to do, go 58 divide by sine 110 and press equal. You get 61.7. Then go times sine 30, then press equals. Did we get, okay, no problem. Let's do one more question. Like there's only two questions I can ask for. I can either ask for an angle or I can ask for a side, right? It's not the most difficult item in the world. Oops. So let's make another triangle. Let's do X this time, 100 on this side, and maybe like, I don't know, 30 over here, and someone type in a number. What number should I give it, this angle? Farley, don't be weird and go like 179 either. No one's going to give me a number to type in here? Oh, shush, Farley. We'll go 78 then. Okay? So, what I want you to do right now, first of all, decide if we have buddies, which we do, right? I always try to look for buddies first. We have buddies there, and we have buddies here. And Yosan is ahead of me. She's noticed that we're trying to find an angle. So I want you to try to set up your ratio here, okay? I'll give you a minute to set this up. Remember, unknown goes on top, okay? And its buddy goes below, okay? Well, Ben, sometimes he deserves it because I knew he was going to make some weird number. It's okay to shush if he knows he care. I think Farley knows I care. We'll have to take, I'll have to bring the fam up to see him at DQ one day. Farley, what's the hardest thing to make at Dairy Queen? Like, what does people come in and you're like, oh, why did you even order that? I hate you. Or I guess Tessa could answer this question too. Buffalo wrap, do you agree, Tessa? What's the worst thing that you hate when people order? Brownie? That was pretty quick. Okay. So here I'm going to set mine up. So I'm going to go sine x over 100. Those are that's buddies. I put my angle on top before, so I'm going to put my angle on top here. Sine 30 divided by, oops, I made a mistake. Sine 78, that's my angle, divided by 30. Hopefully this gets me an answer. Sometimes I can make impossible triangles. Yeah, I made an impossible triangle here. Okay, first of all, did you guys set that up properly? How many people were able to get that properly set up? Yes? Yes? Okay. You're gonna hate me. I'm gonna take away the 78. Let's use 9. Okay. Let me make sure 9 works first. Yeah, 9's a good number. Okay. So now we do the first step we've done here each time. We isolate the x. So we move this over. So we get sine x equals sine 9 divided by 30 times 100. Okay, and I'll wait for someone to write in chat the answer for that. Good, 0.5, 0.52, somewhere around there. I'm gonna go 0.52. Then we do sine to the -1, 0.52. Right, so we move that sign over. It should get us around 31.4. Now, on a test, I'll like allow a variation of number. Like if you get 31, right? It doesn't have to be 31.4, but it depends. Like if you're using a trig sheet compared to calculator, it's going to be a little bit different. Okay. So that is how to do sine law. And there's the 2 questions, essentially the only 2 questions I can ask you. I can ask you for a side or I can ask you for an angle. How do we feel about sine law as a whole? Out of 5, how comfortable are people feeling? I haven't heard from T in a little bit. Brandon, you're 3, okay. So let's take a look at homework real quick. Make sure I touch everything you need to know. Monday practice. Yeah, I just need help with your calculator, Yosan. Some of these you have to draw the triangle. They ask you to draw the triangle out. Which let's do one right here, right now. So if I were to draw this triangle, this first one, these ones just solving it by doing the calculation. They set it up just so you know how to do it. It's going to be super easy. This one here is missing this variable. That should be there. Okay, let's look at this one here. So first things first, just draw like a triangle, say A, B, C. Okay. It says angle A is 57. So I put the 57 right there. Angle B is 73. 73 is right here. How could I find angle C? Could anyone tell me how to find angle C if I wanted to? This is reaching back to grade 9 stuff. How could I find angle C? I'll give you a hint. Oh, come on, people, you're killing me here. Yes, all the angles equal 180. So I would just go 180 minus 73 minus 57. That's if we need it. We don't need it right now. It says AB is 24. So this side here, oh, we do need it, is 24. We're trying to find this side. So that's my question mark. So we do need this angle. So that equals 50. So that angle here is 50. Right? Then we just got to buddy up. We have buddy set here. And then we need this buddy set here. So that'd be just how to draw it out. Okay? And the rest of them, you're good to go. So if you guys did, like from question 3 on, you're good to go. How would you solve 2a? Same thing. No, I didn't give you enough information there too. I must have cut off the measurement there. There must have been a measurement right there that I missed when I was copying and pasting that over. So you can take 2a out of the question. If you guys do 2b and question 4, you did 3 to 7, that'd be perfect. But as with always, do it till you're comfortable, do it till you know how to do it. And then in your notes to self here, we have explanation of buddies to go in here. And then an example of sine law, finding a side, example of sine law, finding an angle. I can go and write that in. I might go back, once I'm done with the OSAN, if I have a chance, I'll go back and kind of work that through. Okay? You guys are good to go. And Yo-san, I gotta figure out your calculator. Okay. Yo-san, what are you working on? Phone, computer. Oh, you're working on your calculator. You're using Desmos calculator? Is that what you're using? Okay.
What time do you want us?
What time you want back? Let me stop the recording here.
1 o'clock.